I have a student. I teach once or twice a year at Phillips Theological Seminary still in the graduate program. And I have a student named Scott. Woo, Scott is a funny guy. Scott took a class with me. It was a year ago or a year and a half. I can't remember. And Scott earned a B in my class. And Scott didn't like that. He didn't want a B. He said, so he called me, actually Facebooked me or something like that, to ask me why did he get a B and would I consider rereading his paper and reconsidering his grade. And I said, Scott, I ain't rereading your paper. I read the paper one time. That was enough, right? And I'm not reading your paper anymore. So Scott issued a challenge. He said, I'm going to get an A in your class. He said, before I graduate from Phillips Theological Seminary, I'm going to earn an A in your class, Dr. Owens. I said, okay, Scott, whatever. And I hadn't seen Scott in a long time. So this past semester, I taught a course on religion and the civil rights movement. And so I'm rustling into class, trying to get there. And I'm getting there a little early and arrive at the class. And there's one student sitting in the class with his laptop already out. So, good morning, Dr. Owens. I said, oh, Lord. Hey, Scott. How you doing? I'm excited. I've already read the first 4 chapters of the first book. I was like, that's good, Scott. I'm going to get it this time, Dr. Owens. And so the whole time, Scott's reminding me, I want an A in this class. And so we go through the class. You have to understand that Scott and I have this interesting relationship. We're very different. He's one of those students who loves to challenge the professor, any professor. So I don't take it personally. And we're just different. We just end up on different sides of all spectrums. Scott is a right-wing Republican. Right, as far right as you can go, Scott's on the other side of that, right? I'm a left-wing Democrat, right? Scott is white and I'm black. Scott's from Kentucky and I'm from Texas. Scott argues that racism doesn't exist anymore. I said, Scott, there's still institutional racism. Scott thinks affirmative action is the worst thing that ever happened in the world. I think affirmative action was a necessary thing for the time. Well, Scott and I just bump heads all the time, right? But Scott seems to love to take my classes. He was determined to get an A. So this semester, he said, listen, all right, I want to make sure I get an A. So he turned in his term paper, which is worth 70% of the class. I forget. Turns in his term paper 3 weeks early. Any of y'all do that this semester? No. Scott did. 1 week after he turned in the paper, he sends me a Facebook message. This kind of bothers me about Facebook because I didn't want Scott, to ask me work-related questions on Facebook. He wants to know, Dr. Owens, have you read my paper? I said, Scott, I haven't read your paper, and get off my Facebook page, all right? Week later, I know you're busy, but have you had time to read my paper? Scott, if you do not leave me alone, I really want an A now. Now, Dr. Owens, don't play with me. You know how I get. I get a little anxious and everything, so he sends me all kinds of mail to the church. And Scott just always got something to say. So, I get to the end of the semester. I get all the papers, and it's Friday, the day the grades are due. And I'm literally reading the papers, and I see on Facebook a pop-up. Facebook has that thing where they can see that you're online, and they can just talk to you instantly. Scott takes advantage of that feature. He says, Dr. Owens, what's my grade? I said, Scott, the grades are due at 5 today. You'll know your grade on Monday. They'll be released from the registrar. I'm sorry, Lord have mercy. So I wake up Monday morning, drinking my coffee, and I get up really early, 5 in the morning, so I'm drinking coffee, and I let my computer go onto my Facebook page, and I get this little smiley face. It's Monday. Scott. So I said, all right. I don't like to do pastoral counseling or give students grades or have business conversations over Facebook. I don't like that. It's not the place for that. But I made an exception. I said, all right, Scott, A-. Boy, I just start blowing up my little Facebook. You are the best professor in all the world, and I love you, Dr. Owens, and I can't wait to take your class. Scott even said, I'm going to visit your church in October, and if you want me to, I'll preach. I said, no, Scott. No. You don't invite yourself to preach at my church. But here's the point. Even when I was reading Scott's paper, in the back of my mind, I could not help but think about the fact that this boy really wanted an A. And so I don't even know if he really had an A paper, but in my mind, I was saying, I want Scott to get an A, right? there's something about your eagerness, right, that creates a sense of high expectation for yourself, which others will recognize, and they're often reinforced for you. When people see that you have high expectations for yourself, they will treat you like somebody who has high expectations, and they will evaluate you more favorably